Common Retirement Fund's Emerging Manager Program began in 1994 under my friend and predecessor, Controller H. Carl McCall, with an allocation of $50 million to Progress Investment Management to manage a fund of funds to select asset managers to be part of our program.
Our job, as it is now, our job was to find managers to manage a very large portfolio we had to provide pension benefits for retirees. And we found that we had a big stable of managers, but there were no managers who were members of either women or minority firms. And I knew that there were some good managers who happened to be women, who happened to be minorities, and I thought we ought to bring them in because we wanted that kind of diversity. We wanted to make sure we were using the best possible resources so that we could get the kind of returns we were looking for. It wasn't easy because it had really never been done before, not only with the New York Pension Fund, but a lot of other pension funds were struggling with it, were thinking about it, but nobody was doing it. There were some people who thought we shouldn't do it. In fact, what we were accused of doing was lowering standards. And I said, no, we're not lowering standards. What we were doing is lowering barriers.
The relationship began as a $50 million mandate. We are so humbly pleased and proud to say that today that is multiple mandates, and the assets under management are a little over $1 billion.
I know in our organization specifically, no less than 46 different investment management firms have had an opportunity to manage assets on behalf of the state of New York because of the relationship that Progress enjoys with New York State Common.
Our purpose has been to bring these managers into the mainstream to show that they can manage assets for large institutional plans and to show the investment world that smaller firms have advantages to larger firms in terms of delivering value-added investment performance.
I think we were the first graduate. We were hired under Fund of Funds, Progress Investment Company, for $12 million.
12 and a half.
12 and a half.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? 12.5 million.
Right.
And here's one of the greatest things that validates something that I understand Albert Einstein purportedly said. And it was not the theory of relativity, some of these other great scientific theorems. What really amazed him was the power of compound interest. From that 12.5 million, you added some money, you took some money out of pocket. I think you have 65 million.
$5 million out of pocket.
Of what, if you looked at it as a business, your working capital. And with that working capital of roughly 65 million, you have a market value as of the end of September of
1.3 billion.
That's the power of compound interest. I think it's been in the order of 14.5% per year compound over the 23 years.
2018 will be our 35th anniversary at Brown Capital Management, and New York State Common started in 93? 94?
94.
And so, you know, that's a long period of time to have a client, to remain a client.
We have never marketed Brown Capital Management as a minority-owned firm because we say we can compete toe-to-toe with the best and the brightest. In fact, I remember it must have been 15 years ago, we had been invited to make a presentation to a pretty significant public retirement system. And I remember the chair saying, in the RFP, you never said that you're a minority-owned firm or African-American-owned firm. I said, that's correct. You know, we are a very good investment firm that just happens to be minority-owned.
It's not social work, emerging manager programs. It's return-based, and it's fairness-based, and you have to look at it in all those dimensions. I think it's seen and cast in our mind's eye, or the mind's eye of many, as a social operation, and I don't believe that to be the case. I believe it to be quite the opposite of that, which is a fiduciary obligation to get the best possible returns you can.
We have millions of retirees, who worked hard all their lives, and a lot of them put their lives on the line. Firemen, policemen, teachers, and they've worked hard, and it's up to the Common Fund to protect those investments, and they take that very seriously, as they should, and it's up to us to generate the best returns we can for them.
The program now has 11 program partners who oversee the emerging managers on behalf of the Common Retirement Fund. The partners source, perform due diligence, and recommend managers to participate in the program.
So FIS was fostered by my time as an investment professional in the late 80s, early 90s, where being a Black woman and an investment professional was a bit of an oxymoron. I was the CIO at a pension fund, and over time I kept asking my consultants, can you please recommend a firm that is either minority or woman-owned or both? And they continually said they don't exist, and the ones that do aren't worth considering. And so the idea behind FIS was to disprove their conclusion. It was also to provide a haven in which we could nurture talented women and minority investment professionals. And I felt so strongly about that as a single mother of 2 elementary age boys, I actually mortgaged my home to start FIS.
Study after study have shown that diversity of opinions and backgrounds, bringing that myriad points of view, adds to the problem-solving process. Because if you get 10 people grew up in the same part of town, from the same town in New England, they're going to have a very similar point of view, and they have words that are codes, and they can get to a decision quickly. It's not always the best decision or the right decision. Adding diversity has improved outcomes significantly, and again, folks like the Twigo Foundation and SEO that we've been involved with significantly over the years, and the New America Alliance. These are all, and NAIC, these are all groups that the Common Fund has been a big supporter of. They're helping to break those barriers and make it about the performance and make it about excellence.
So SEO, our career program, for instance, is a program that recruits college students of color, Black and Hispanic and Native American, on campuses throughout the country for jobs in a wide variety of industries, including investment banking and finance and asset management.
So about 10 years ago, myself and a group of other women founded the Private Equity Women Investor Network, also known as PEWIN. And the impetus for that was really a conversation with the state treasurer of the state of Connecticut, Denise Napier. She was the keynote speaker at the first Private Equity Women's Summit, and she held up a copy of a magazine called Portfolio, and it had an article that said, "The Women of Private Equity," and in parentheses it said, "and yes, there are 4 of them." She said, "This just can't be. You can't allow this to happen." And that was really sort of the crystallizing moment for a group of us to say, we needed an organization where the senior-most women in the industry, those who are making decisions, who have the ability to allocate capital and invest capital, really needed to know each other.
Over the years, the Emerging Manager Program grew exponentially in size and scope to include more managers handling a greater share of the fund's actively managed investments.
So the Common Retirement Fund has been critically important to us. Without CRF and investors like that pushing the mandate to invest in first-time funds, private equity firms that are diverse, I would not be sitting here today. We need to have more investors that are interested in taking a chance working with first-time businesses, first-time private equity funds, Everyone wants to demonstrate a specific type of return. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and largely it's being very communicative and basically laying out the plan every step of the way and then doing that.
You gotta hustle. I mean, it's just this, it's what it is. I mean, it's hustling. World's not gonna give it to you, no matter what your credentials might be, or no matter how good you think you might be. So you just gotta get out there and hustle.
Being in private equity for almost 30 years and doing a lot of fundraising, I do like to say that the only thing more humbling than raising money is raising kids.
The leaders of all these firms took a risk to strike out on their own, and through hard work, diligence, and persistence have achieved great success and helped the state pension fund reach an all-time high of $200 billion.
For this investment proposition to work, our role is to bring investment talent to the forefront, but you need a smart and willing buyer to take that first step. And I think that that's certainly one of the things that New York State Common does for, if we were to say selfishly, what we're trying to do.
One of my early mentors always told me that it's how you manage success that shows your true character, that shows who you are as a person. And if you can enjoy your success, pull someone else up, and allow others to benefit from what you have experienced, that's the true measure, is passing it along.
At the end of the day, whatever ladder you climbed on should be taller, stronger, and wider for others to climb as well.
Currently, commitments to the program stand at more than $5.7 billion, including $2.6 billion in public equities. That total is up by more than $3 billion since I took office. It's an achievement that gives me great pride.
New York Common Fund has invested with us in 3 funds in a row. Started with $70 million back in 2005, then $100 million, and most recently $150 million. So they're a tremendous partner and investor. The New York Fund has such a great reputation as an investor that it's not just the Common Fund's investment that matters, because the folks in the subsequent investments ask, who are your LPs? And having the New York State Common Retirement Fund as a big early LP is very, very important to us.
Every day I say to our team, grateful for every single dollar that we have from every client, for every opportunity, but not satisfied by any stretch of the imagination, because I know how extraordinary the managers on our platform are.
I really want to give a lot of credit to Tom DiNapoli. Tom has significantly expanded the number of firms that he's dealing with. And the important thing is that it's paid off. It paid off for us in terms of our performance. With I was controller, it's certainly paying off for Tom DiNapoli now that he's the controller.
It's gratifying to see the success stories of our Emerging Manager program, and I'm confident some of you will one day join in those ranks.